They were all pissed, and so they started throwing anything that wasn't nailed down at the police. They were throwing plates and knives and forks and spoons and salt and pepper shakers and the little credit card thing, and you just put your credit card through, and the cigarette machine,
Cigarette machine? Really?
Okay, well, maybe.
I love you. Oh, I love you. Yes, I love you.
Welcome to the end times. Welcome to the end times.
Hi, I'm Mike.
Hey, I'm Charlie.
Hey, we got a great show for you guys today.
Yes.
Today we're going to delve into the gay civil rights movement, the events and times that pushed gays to the breaking point that resulted in the famous Stonewall Tavern riots in New York City. Who better to tell about gay ancient history than two ancient gays?
Excuse me, I'm not ancient. Speak for yourself. I'm just kind of a little retro, man.
Don't you mean repo, man?
No, I mean don't push, man.
Did you know that gay individuals occur in nature 5 to 10% of the time? This phenomenon is likely traced back to ancient times when homosexuals were celebrated for their insight and natural wisdom. This was the exception, but not the rule. Most societies unfortunately rejected and persecuted their gay populations.
Throughout history, the treatment of gay individuals has been diverse as human societies themselves. Despite facing discrimination and persecution, the community's resilience has been awe-inspiring. Say that.
Come on, let's go back in time to the gay 1960s, a turbulent time that set the stage for the Stonewall riots. The gay community had had enough, and our fight for civil rights had begun. There were 7 newsworthy incidents, though, leading up to the Stonewall riots that most people have never heard of. I call them the Silent 7 because nobody knows about them, but they were anything but silent.
There was the 1958 Los Angeles Cooper Donut Riot,
That's right.
Then the 1961 Milwaukee Black Night Brawl.
That's right. That sounds scary.
1965 Philadelphia Dewey's Restaurant Sit-In, and the 1966 New York City Julius Tavern Slip-In.
No,
Okay,
not slip-in, silly, sip-in. Get your mind out of the gutter. Come on now.
Not always.
Come on now. So anyway, things were getting pretty heated by now, and then in 1966 in San Francisco, things really started to reach a boiling point at a place called Compton's Cafe.
Compton?
No, not in Compton. Compton's Cafe.
Oh, okay, got it.
The Compton's Cafe riot took place.
Got it.
And what happened was a police officer decided it was okay for putting his hands on a transgender lady that was at Compton's that evening, and she didn't think it was so okay, so she proceeded to take her scalding hot cup of coffee and throw it right in the cop's face. Ouch! I know.
What happened then? Was he pissed off or what?
Well, he was less than thrilled and not amused at all, but you know what? It was on at Compton's at that point because the whole place explodes into a powder keg riot. Every queen, every transgender person, every lesbian, bisexual, gay boys, they were all pissed. And so they started throwing anything that wasn't nailed down at the police. They were throwing plates and knives and forks and spoons and salt and pepper shakers and the little credit card thing, and you just put your credit card through, and the cigarette machine just,
Cigarette machine? Really?
Okay, well, maybe. I don't know.
Mike.
But the point is, by the end of it, everybody got arrested, okay? Except for one person.
The cop. Of course.
Yeah.
Gay people had just about enough. Can you imagine? It was illegal to serve a gay person alcohol, and don't even think about dancing with the same sex. You needed to have a best girlfriend to be with you so she could be your beard, kind of like a wingman. So that way, when the lookout flashed the lights to signal a raid was about to happen, you could then be dancing with the opposite sex just in time. If you didn't know any lesbians, you did what you had to do. Thus was born the term the fag hag, as they called them then. Then in New Year's Eve in 1967, at the Black Cat Tavern Cafe, as soon as the clock hit midnight, the police tore apart people kissing in the new year and started beating them. Wow.
That's right. And the brutality didn't stop there. Eventually it spread to the neighboring bar, where police attacked the bar's owner and a couple of unlucky bartenders. So by the end of that night, 14 people had gotten arrested. And Listen to this. 2 of them were forced later to register as sex offenders because they were kissing each other.
Kissing.
What were they thinking?
How
right?
disgusting.
Oh my, let me tell you.
Oh, please.
But then on February 11th of 1967, there were 200 gay activists, and they formed this big picket line in front of the Black Cat Tavern Cafe there, and they were peacefully protesting the abuse. And so that there was a lot of police there, but it went off without a hitch. It was very peaceful, and everybody stayed cool, so nobody got hurt on that one. But it was the last straw.
Stonewall marked a pivotal moment with drag queens and transgender individuals on the front lines bravely resisting police raids. It ignited the gay civil rights movement, empowering the gay community to set up and step out without hesitation.
That's right, and step out they did. By the end of the Stonewall riots on July 2nd in 1969, the gay rights movement went from being a fringe issue, largely just ignored by politicians and the media, to front-page news worldwide.
Now, as we moved into the 1970s, just 1 year later, on the anniversary of the Stonewall riots, activists in New York City marched through the streets of Manhattan in commemoration of the uprising. The march, organized by the Regional Conference of Homophile Organizations, AIRCHO, and the Christopher Street Day Liberation Day Umbrella Committee, was named the Christopher Street Liberation Day March, which then later became, simply as we all know it, the Gay Pride Parade. Yay!
Right. Yay! Yeah, that's right. Disco was king, and Donna Summer was his queen.
Ooh, that's right.
This was the start to something new. You know, it was fresh, and for the first time, gay people were free to express themselves in public without fear of retribution.
Movie studios started releasing gay-themed films, mostly depicting the token gay character as a villain or some other degenerate. This left many in the gay community outraged and disenchanted with Hollywood. Now, progress was slow, but it was undeniable, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was undeniable. But then by the 1980s, there was an entirely new challenge that nobody saw coming. It was dark and sinister, and it was coming for all of us. It was a new pandemic, and it put its bullseye right on the gay community.
The emergence of something so dark, I mean, really dark, and it brought the gay community and the world to its knees. Then a young Dr. Anthony Fauci, the country's leading doctor, announced they had identified a terrible new infectious disease he called the gay disease, better known then as GRID, gay-related immune deficiency, which inevitably became more accurately acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS, as we all know it today. Whatever they called it, it scared the hell out of everyone. Now the eyes of the world were upon all of us.
We're shunned by everyone, and doctors refused to see or treat people diagnosed with HIV or AIDS. It was awful. They weren't even sure how it was transmitted yet, but one thing they seemed to be sure of is that it went from one gay man to the other.
And they were in no hurry to stop it either.
No.
I mean, I remember President Reagan hardly mentioned it, right?
Good crickets.
Yeah, I mean, some politicians went as far as to suggest putting all gay people in a quarantine island or some other remote area and just let the disease run its course.
Yep.
Nice, huh?
Oh, that's beautiful. That isn't, of course, until it started to infect the straight communities.
Yes.
And then we were promised a fast-track vaccine, but instead what we got was the useless AZT cocktail, which originated in the UK. Patients were desperate to save at least or extend their lives, but until a cure was found, you know.
Right.
Sadly, it was all in vain. Contrary to Dr. Fauci's endorsement of the drug, it never extended or helped those who took it. In fact, it had adverse effects. And the pharmaceutical industry was raking in millions.
No surprise
Isn't
there.
that right, Anthony? Yep, no surprise there. But if you were diagnosed, one certain thing is that your life was over, done.
I remember someone started a patch quilt with the name of their loved one that had passed of AIDS. Then someone else added another patch and a panel of their friend's name to the quilt, and then others followed suit. Before long, it grew to the size of several football fields. It became known as the AIDS quilt. It took on a life of its own, with tens of thousands of panels being added. To some of us, it was clearly an overwhelming symbol of a giant blanket of death, but it was bittersweet because it was beautiful. And they would load thousands of panels into semi-trailers in order to ship and display them in different cities in the U.S., where new name panels would then be added on. Everyone knew someone whose name was on that quilt.
That's right. I knew a few people that were on that quilt. And you know, it's as of 2020, the weight of that quilt is the same as like 4.5 fully grown African bull elephants.
Wow.
Which is huge, huge. And, you know, I remember going to San Francisco in late 1990, And on Castro Street, it was shocking because people were walking around. They looked their faces were hollowed out. They were like just the death in their eyes, the lesions all over their bodies. They were like skeletons, and it looked like a Holocaust. It snatched their friends away one after the other. If you lived through it, man, you were the lucky one.
The 1990s brought about a massive shift towards safe sex, emphasizing awareness and prevention. We were still losing friends and loved ones as they were dropping like flies. It was a time of education and resilience as the gay community faced challenges head on.
Yeah, it was a sad time. I don't want to think about that time anymore. So let's fast forward.
Okay, well, fast forward to the 2000s, a new millennium, where the release of protease inhibitors revolutionized treatment. These breakthroughs marked a turning point in the fight against HIV/AIDS, as well as breakthroughs a bit later, after years of research and additional long-term studies of the already successful drug Truvada. The pharmaceutical company Gilead announced that the drug was found to also prevent HIV-negative individuals from contracting the disease by taking the med as a daily regimen. Thus, the ever-popular PrEP was born. Yay, thanks for PrEP. I am so grateful for that, especially for young people,
Yeah, I know. I am too.
Really happy about that.
I just wish they would have happened a little bit sooner, but that's okay.
I know.
As we sit here, we have witnessed incredible moments in history, not just gay history, but American history, from the Stonewall riots to the present day, America's made some mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes, and that's no reason to hate on her.
So let's all come together, okay, in this fact. Let's come together in the spirit of love and generosity. Right. Who cares if you're black or white or non-binary or cis or just old-fashioned gay like us? Right? Americans are known around the world for two things. One is for not knowing a whole lot about the rest of the world, okay? And the other is for our generosity and always trying to do the right thing. That's for sure.
So now we're old-fashioned.
We're just fashioned.
Our community has overcome adversity, shame, rejection, and the plague, and we are still here.
We have the same rights as everybody else. We love our families like everybody else, and we make mistakes like everybody else.
That's right.
The American gay community has come a long way. We need to always remain vigilant and hold our place in society with dignity and grace. We are loving, creative, smart people. We have contributed greatly and will continue to be a valuable part of society always. We are all God's children. We are the homosexuals.
That's right. It's really shocking to hear what they went through back then, because when I came out and went to a gay club for the first time, there was no talk of going through the back way. There was a sign out front that said what the business was called. Right. There was the doors were open to the street in the front. So I didn't have a worry or care. We just went in and we had a great time.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah, there were still people there at the time that were of age that knew and had gone through that, having to go to the back door to get to a club, and then you couldn't have any windows in the club because things could happen, and we were lucky.
We want to remember their struggle and what they went through.
We do, and we respected it then, and we respect it now, and we hope everyone else does too, because that's why we have the rights that we have.
Right, the transgender and the drag queens. They were
on
the front lines, and don't you forget it, ladies. You were right there working together to make all that happen, so that we could have a good time and be ourselves and stuff.
I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, me too. I learned a lot from the researching this and everything. It was great.
Yeah, I brought a lot.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for our little trip through history to the civil rights movement here in the end times.
No, I'm Mike Carpenter,
and I'm Charley Geary.
Mm-hmm.
Until next time, stay informed, stay proud, and most of all, stay fabulous.
Bye.